Welcome to APABI Focus, and this time we're pleased to have Gloria Traidl, who's a digital finance specialist, also including topics like AI from Germany. And you were just here for FinTech Taipei, and we thought we'd catch you for the APABI series as well, so welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Now, I wanted to ask just like if you could introduce yourself a little bit. So your background originally is in traditional finance as an investment banker, and later you moved into blockchain. So what kind of prompted that interest in that transition?
Yeah, that's actually a very interesting question, and I can say that I have a background of 23 years in capital markets. So I worked for really large institutions here in Germany, such as Dresdner Kleinwort Benson, Bankhaus Metzler, in capital market sales. And over the past 7 years, my focus was has increasingly shifted towards digital assets. First of all, it was a personal interest of myself because I was wondering what's going on out there in the market. What is this crypto thing all about? And then I started, shifting more and more into blockchain technology, and also as a consequence into AI technologies, because they are fundamentally transforming financial systems and how they operate. And this is something I'm really, really interested in. So finally, I decided to resign after 24 years in investment banking, and I started my own consultancy boutique, bridging technologies with financial systems. And well, at the end of the day, I finally had the pleasure to become this role at Frankfurt School of Finance and Management, which is one of the leading business schools in Germany and Europe. And here I'm within the Department of Executive Education, and we are focusing on really executive within the financial industry. We are creating here programs for them to gain knowledge about blockchain technology and AI, because this is so important for the future of financial markets.
Yeah, indeed. And actually, blockchain has been a kind of major focus, relatively speaking, in the US these days. And so we've had the Genius Act, which is passed for stablecoins. And earlier we had MiCA in the EU. And I was wondering if you could just give us your impressions of the Genius Act. How does it change the game? How does it contrast with the EU's approach, and maybe the overall, will it be successful?
Yeah, that's also a very interesting question. So here in Europe, we have a very strong regulatory framework, came fully in place as of this year, which is called the MiCA. This is the Markets in Crypto Assets Regulation. And during this year, we all know that the Genius Act in the US, as you said correctly, also passed, was implemented into the market. And the approaches are a little bit different. MiCA is a kind of milestone for financial regulation. The German or European regulators have been working for years on it, and it is the first comprehensive framework for digital assets within a major economic area. So, I mean, in the EU, we have like 450 million people around, and it applies to a lot of countries, and that is very special. I mean, that is a special thing about Europe for sure. And one of the major takeaways from MiCA that is that innovation requires always a kind of predictable regulatory foundation. Europe has a kind of trust-first model that provides stability, even if it may slow down innovation a little bit, which we see at the moment in the area of stablecoins. In contrast, the US approach, as you stated before, under the Genius Act, is more flexible and more market-driven. And as the year 2025, has been proved to be one of the major years for stablecoins, this is a very, very interesting development we see here, hearing how the US approaches it and how the EU approaches crypto assets and stablecoins.
And you mentioned, so the EU gets to take kind of a larger approach, coordinating many different countries. And actually, one of the most difficult points about crypto assets in general is how do they cross borders? Because countries are worried about, does it undermine their financial system or their financial sovereignty? And that's one of the big concerns in Asia, I think. So, how do you think Asian countries can approach this question of cross-border collaboration?
Okay, as we have elaborated before in your previous question, strong regulation is always very important for the trust, and this is what the financial industry needs. So, how did Europe handle this? So, we have the DLT pilot regime here in Europe, which is a kind of regulatory sandbox, which gives the industry a kind of strong and safe environment to really make trials, the area of blockchain applying and adopt blockchain technology. So for instance, when we talk about trials regarding digital securities or something. So I think a kind of regulatory sandbox would also be very, very important to be established in Asia. I think in Singapore, if I'm right, it already exists. But, Asia is also a very broad, large, not a country, area. So for sure, you have to see, where to establish regulatory sandboxes in order to get the industry started into really applying blockchain technology and do some trials.
So the crypto industry is actually quite diverse. So we have many different parts of it. So we can think about people in the banks who need to deal with money laundering and other kinds of controls. We have the regulators. We can also think about the, for instance, the pure digital asset players also. So where are the human resource needs in all this? Where can we benefit the ecosystem?
Well, as you said, the whole applied blockchain. So when it comes to the end product, this is really a very, very diverse and topic. So first we have, let's say, the crypto industry itself. So here we are dealing with cryptos like Bitcoin, like ETH, like all the stablecoin, like trading opportunities. So here banks have to deal with KYC, money laundering processes, etc., etc. And then a second big pillar for the industry may be the development of a completely new kind of financial market, capital markets transformed by, let's say, smart contracts. And this then applies to tokenization and also digital securities on blockchain, for instance. So here in Europe, I can tell you, we have the ECB trials. We had the ECB trials. So the ECB, European Central Bank, for sure, within this DLT pilot regime I was talking about before, we had trials with big issuance, let's say for KfW, for instance. And here we had trials that allowed the institutions to understand how settlement will be changed. Settlement processes and all the operational processes within the industry, within banks, will be changed by using blockchain technology, here in this case smart contracts. And then we have a third large and important pillar of blockchain technology, the stablecoin universe, also in contrast to CBDCs. So we have so many different parts we have to look at, also from the financial institution side, and this is really challenging at the moment. And this is why education programs such as ours are so important for the industry, because people have to, working in different departments of the industry, have to first learn about blockchain technology, about chances, risk, about what are the risks implied within KYC processes, for instance, or trading. And so this is a completely new thing. So you have to educate more or less all people here. And that will take some time, I can tell you.
Yeah, because everybody has to kind of learn what all these roles are, and then how what their own specialty is, and how they're going to interact with all these different stakeholders. So it's just a very more complex ecosystem maybe than the traditional finance. So and then I guess here's where it gets even more complicated, is that now blockchain isn't the only new technology that we're thinking about. So we can think about how all of this is going to interact with AI. And this sounds to me like a like complexity squared kind of thing. Like we could, each of these ecosystems are both very complex on their own, and now how they're going to interact together. So so what do you think about this? What's the outlook of AI and blockchain together?
I love this question very much, because this is what we see at the moment. AI just jumped into everybody's life, I can say, with ChatGPT or something else. But for sure, when we talk about AI applications within the financial industry, this is a completely different thing. And my personal view on it is that blockchain and AI will be able to create, let's say, the next level of financial industries, because AI is able to automate processes, and here we have to also see that blockchain will be able to secure those new processes. So when we also think about fraud detection or KYC processes or new trading models that are using AI in the background, then we see that, that is all what blockchain is all about. It is able to prove data and secure data by or processes by using smart contracts. So I think those new technology will be able to transform the whole financial market at the end of the day. And we will see how important the one or other technology will become then. And I think as of today, it's really hard to say where the market is going, but it will definitely go hand in hand by in the future.
Yeah, it can be pretty difficult actually to think about all of these different innovations. So yeah, I think that that kind of sets the theme, I guess, for the next maybe the next generation of financial training. I don't know. So, but anyway, I think we can leave it there for today. And thank you for appearing today.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.